So let's talk about the challenges.
That every entrepreneur would face is going through that phase when you are slightly doubting yourself and dealing with the sort of dreaded impact. It's very familiar to many people out there. Doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, doesn't matter how qualified you are and how happy your clients are, you are going to have those moments when you start questioning things. Am I really good enough? Am I really making a big enough impact? Are my clients really that happy? Can I really do this? Can I really make a living out of this? So this is absolutely normal if someone starts thinking about this. And I think Google really is our best friend. Nowadays, if you just type something in the Google, like, how can I fix X, Y, Z, you will find some solutions, or you will find some people, especially on social media. Social media helped me a lot, to be honest, finding the right communities and the right sort of contacts as well to seek some advice when I need it.
So hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Akshay Dhone show. We have a very special guest, Timi. So if I give an introduction about Timi, like she is a social media marketer and we got connected from Instagram. And also we have done a live session on Instagram as well. The reason behind today's podcast is we are going to ask Timi about her journey, like how she started her journey, what was the struggle, what were the challenges she has gone through her journey, and who is her inspiration, who is her role model. So firstly, TV, welcome to the Akshay Dhone show.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and I can't wait to jump into this conversation. I think we have a lot to cover, and those of you who are watching or listening the episode, I'm sure you're going to be taking a lot of notes as you are going through, so you can learn as you watch.
Definitely, those who are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast on YouTube, please make a notes because there is so much to learn from Timi's journey. So, Timi, I have just given a short introduction about yourself, but it would be really great for those audiences who is listening to you for the very first time. So, can you just tell me, like, who is Timi? Like, why they should listen to you? Like, a short introduction.
I want to respect your time, so I'm not going to give you the long story, but I'm going to give you the short version of that. So throughout my career, I was always really curious. I always wanted to develop myself and try to sort of dig into many different angles. So because of my background, I ended up progressing into a director level roles, as in marketing director, sales director, and I also worked my way up to a CEO position. And then I realized that because I was focusing too much just on hitting these goals that just looked great on paper, and they were focusing more on the titles, I realized that something was missing. I felt that I wasn't completely myself throughout that process. So I quit my job, and then I took a bit of a break to try to figure out how I can combine my own personal sort of belief systems, my values, and bring that into my business life as well. And the result of that was starting my own business back in early 2020, before our world went a little crazy for a while. So that was a great time to start the business. And I decided to focus on a specific group of people that shared similar kind of interest and similar sort of motivation in life. And everything that I learned from my business background, I decided to start passing on to this knowledge and start educating people also how to grow and start their meaningful businesses. So right now, that's what I do in a very short version of that story, that I help people who are self-aware, who are impact-driven, who are following certain spiritual journeys as well. And I help them to grow their online presence as well as building and growing their businesses. So in a way, I feel that I can contribute to their successes. And then if they are successful, they can be making a bigger positive impact in the world. So that's one of my personal drivers. And I think if someone who's looking into starting their own business or becoming a freelancer or providing any kind of services, that should be the number one starting point, understanding what is it that you are completely passionate about and how you can bring that into your own business life. So that was my short story. I could talk about this for hours, but I think we have a lot more to cover as well. But I hope that gives a better understanding to the viewers to know what I do and why I do what I do.
Absolutely. That's a great introduction, Timmy. And one more thing, like you said, that you started your journey in 2020. Like it's been more than 2 years, right? So I
Yeah.
know you might have faced so many challenges in your life, and I know that you have overcame it also, right? So let's
Yeah.
talk about the challenges. Like, may I know, like in 2020, when you started your journey, what was your three biggest challenges you faced in your life? And when you thought, okay, this is not my cup of tea, I should just give up on my dreams, I would should just again go for a job. Like, share me those three challenges you faced while at initial start of your journey.
Absolutely. The biggest phase for anyone to start, I think that's always going to be the hardest, because so many maybe challenges might pop up you didn't even think about. So in my case, the number one was dealing with administration and tasks that I just completely don't enjoy doing. So I had to understand as well what are the sort of activities and tasks that I truly love doing. So because I enjoy them, I could get them done a lot quicker for myself and for my clients. But then when I looked at specific sort of activities, such as replying to emails or coming up with, I don't know, organizing things or just keeping things neat that usually someone like a personal assistant or a virtual assistant could do, I realized that that was definitely one of my biggest challenges. So it was about 2-3 months into my launch date, I actually decided to bring in some support to take care of all that initial massive pile of administrative tasks that were actually just piling up and up. So I had someone to support me. She was with me for about 6 months to 8 months or so. And then I realized that, okay, I can now set up certain systems to automate a lot of the repetitive tasks. So that was definitely, I think, a massive sort of angle to think about when you are launching a business, to think what I need to delegate over time. What are the tasks that I don't enjoy doing? So you can start planning for that. Maybe not at the very beginning, but you can start creating a timeline for you to know, maybe when I hit X amount of revenue, I can start outsourcing a specific side of things. So that was a big one for me, for sure. The second big one, I think, is something that every entrepreneur would face, is going through that phase when you are slightly doubting yourself and dealing with the sort of dreaded impact. It's very familiar to many people out there. Doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, doesn't matter how qualified you are and how happy your clients are, you are going to have those moments when you start questioning things. Am I really good enough? Am I really making a big enough impact? Are my clients really that happy? Can I really do this? Can I really make a living out of this? So this is absolutely normal if someone starts thinking about this. And what helped me as well to deal with this phase is really sort of looking back on my own smaller achievements and forget about the future for a second and keep chasing those big goals that we have in front of us. It's great, yes, but you also need to stop and reflect. And I think that really helped me to set my mind in the sort of right direction, to realize that I have achieved a lot of things already. So that would definitely be my second biggest challenge I had to come through. And the third one is just all the ad hoc little things that come your way that you can never plan ahead for. So maybe you have an issue with your social accounts, or maybe you have a technical issue on your website and you don't know how to fix it. So these little day-to-day tasks that you're not that familiar with. And I think Google really is our best friend. Nowadays, if you just type something in the Google, like, how can I fix XYZ, you will find some solutions, or you will find some people, especially on social media. Social media helped me a lot, to be honest, finding the right communities and the right sort of contacts as well to seek some advice when I needed. And in return, I could also help and support people when they were stuck with something that I knew more about. So these were the top three in my cases. And that's just the top of my head, because I know there were like a lot more to do with as well.
I completely understand, Timi, because you know what happens is social media is a great way to connect with new people. Many a time it happens that entertainment, we use social media for fun, but if you see the other side of social media, it's really awesome, it's really fruitful. If you use it in a proper way, you can get networking opportunities, like the way we got connected on Instagram,
Yeah,
right? We never thought that we would be doing an Instagram, like we never thought that we would be doing this podcast, right? But
exactly.
we are doing it. And the three challenges which you explained just right now, I know it would have not been easy for you. And I know there was a strong why behind it. So I wanted to know, in spite of these challenges, you are here after 2 years. So what was your why when you started? Like, what exactly was the reason?
The fire that kept me going is definitely that I always felt, even when I was a kid, that our life is here to do something meaningful with it. I can't really explain that in simpler terms, but when you just feel that you're not here just to be born and then die one day and that's it, and whatever happens in between should be meaningless. I think it's the opposite. So whatever we do with our life needs to have some kind of impact, not just on yourself or your close relatives or the closer circles around you, but if you can make a little bit of a positive difference in the world, I think we all should be doing that. So that was my initial driver, and then it took me a long time to figure out how I can actually achieve that impact. And for many years I actually delayed starting my own business because of not knowing the what and the how. And I think many people actually keep delaying starting a business because they don't quite understand first what is it that they really want. So for me personally, it helped me understand what I wanted when I worked with a couple of coaches. So they helped me sort of direct me to the right sort of journey that I wanted to go on. And when I realized that I'm extremely passionate about supporting bigger communities, so not just one person here and another person there, but that is my long-term vision and journey. I'm not in the finish goal yet, so I'm still on my journey as well, but I'm getting closer and closer, and it's great to see how much I evolved. And knowing what is that big picture passion, that dream scenario that your soul wants you to do with you, or your inner guidance, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to use specific terms if people are associating them to specific things, but just that genuine something in you that tells you, like, this is coming from my heart, this is really me, this is the real me telling me that, okay, that feels right, and that gets me excited, and I feel extremely passionate about it. And for me, it's to see our world changing into a better state. And I have the business knowledge and I love business just as much, so it just made sense to me to do this through business, because we can use business to actually make a positive difference in the world. And I believe it's completely overdue to finally shake up the business world, and helping others as well to maybe change their businesses a little bit, or start new businesses that actually has something meaningful to provide to the community, to the environment, or to societies, whatever that big goal is there. So that was my fire, and it still is burning quite big in me.
I completely understand. And you know what? Every person has that creative side, And whenever I watch your content on Instagram, I know you put in a lot of efforts to make that content. We have also done a collaboration reel as well. And
Yeah.
for the very first time, I did that first thing you said me to do with the specs, right? So I really like that. So my question is, like, how do you find so creative ideas for your reel or videos on social media?
I take the pressure of social media, because I see this happening a lot, that people are so glued to their phones, especially solo entrepreneurs or freelancers or small businesses, because they feel this pressure that day for them to find customers. And because they keep focusing on that almost anxiety that if I don't do this, I'm not going to get customers, you're removing that side of your creativity to come to the surface. Yes, you can absolutely generate a ton of customers through social media, but you can do it in a fun way instead of getting so frustrated about the whole process. So what I did for myself, I literally decided that my main objective for my social accounts was just to turn it into a creative playground for me, to show the world who the business is really about and who I'm really about. And that was my biggest mission. And I didn't focus on very specific things that every month I have to get 5 new leads or 5 new customers, because I knew that if I can fixate on this one aspect of things, that I can really show who I am, what I'm about, and people can actually find it entertaining and valuable, because I also educate people through my content as well. It will eventually, actually, you can't avoid this happening, but they will turn into leads, they will turn into customers, subscribers, etc., etc. So I like to go against the norm, and I wanted to turn things a little bit upside down. It worked for me. I'm not saying to do this, everyone, but if you feel confident enough in your services and in your products or whatever you are offering, you can absolutely use your social platforms just to show your potential audience and your potential buyers who you really are, because people purchase from people. That traditional sort of setup, that traditional user and purchase behavior really changed over the last few years. People don't just want to purchase something because it's cheap or it's good value or it's trendy. They want to see what is it actually going to create, like what am I contributing to, where my money is going, like who's going to benefit from this if I buy this. So for me that was a massive wake up call, basically, just doing that and allowing my creativity to got a lot of great feedback on that. So it's not just you, and thank you so much as well for giving me this feedback, but I'm hearing this from a lot of other people that I've connected with over the last couple of years, that I don't pressure people, even the new connections. I don't hammer them with a ton of these aggressive DMs like buy from me and do this and do that. So I allow everyone just to be, and because of that I turn things more into an inbound sort of approach rather than constant outreaching to people. And that worked for me personally. It might not work for everyone. You might need to find things and create a hybrid solution to do a bit of both. So depending on what your main objective is, do that on your social platforms. You need to find what feels right for you. We are all different. So if anyone ever tells you like this is the only one way to do it, it might not be absolutely true. There are great steps to follow, and yes, there are great sort of foundational aspects you need to go through, but at the end of the day you need to put your own twist on it. You need to make it your own.
Absolutely. And you know what? The more you are visible on social media, the more chances of getting opportunities. Because you know what? If you're just uploading one video in a month or two videos in a month, so you would not be that much visible to your audiences. But if you're uploading content consistently, you're getting in front of other people, your visibility is increasing, your attention is getting increased, and where attention grows, energy flows. And
Exactly.
where attention and energy flows, opportunities come your way, right? So you're doing
That's very true.
absolutely amazing, and I'm so curious to know one thing about you. Which is your biggest source of motivation? Is it watching videos or is it reading books? And your answer might be anything, but you have to explain. If books, then why? And if videos, then why?
It's a bit of both, but if you had asked me this maybe 10 years ago, I would have said books for sure. Obviously videos maybe were not that popular back then, so I spent a lot of time reading books, especially in my mid-20s. I'm 36 now, so the last 10 years or so I've been reading a lot of books, and I personally prefer reading books, and I prefer reading traditional books that you can hold in your hands because it just has a different sort of feel to it, and I can absorb the words a lot better that way than staring at the screen. Again, just my personal preference. So if I really have to choose between videos and books, I'm not sure. I feel like I'm splitting into these two people trying to make that choice, but it depends on my mood and maybe my energy levels as well. So when I feel really rested and calm and I feel like I have a ton of time, I would prefer to read a book. But when I feel like, okay, I just need a quick motivation just to shake myself up, I would go with the videos, because you can visually, obviously, and you can hear the sounds, you can watch the sort of visual pictures. It can have a very different impact on you. So I also love watching motivational videos. But even back in the day, like 10 years ago, for example, when these were not so popular, I used to watch a lot of these old sort of recordings of Napoleon Hill's people reading out his book, for example. Like that's one of the favorite books I can recommend to anyone. It's Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yes, I have read it. It is an amazing book.
I love it. And there's actually the audiobook is on YouTube as well. So sometimes when I'm just cooking or I'm driving, I actually listen to the audiobook. So it helps me as well to keep my mind aligned. But then again, I think some of the sort of classic motivational speakers, whatever they mentioned 20, 30, 40 years ago, still stands. Obviously, make it your own. But right now, the market might be a little bit oversaturated to find those kind of people that you really resonate with. I also love watching short videos of Tony Robbins because of his energy. Not always what he says, but fired up energy, and that's a great way as well to get you going. It really depends on my mood. So books and videos, I think, equally important. They cannot be replaced from one another. And if I really want to just disconnect for a long weekend, definitely choosing a book would be my go-to option.
Wow, that's really great. And personally, I also recommend people that do read books, because you know what, when you're reading a book you get knowledge, but you get in-depth knowledge. It's
Mm.
okay if you are hearing a audio summary or a video summary, but you will not get whole book knowledge in that 15 minutes or 10 minutes,
It's
right?
very true. And then what I also love doing with books, I like to reread them a few years later. So one of the other books as well I really, really love is The Power of Now. It really helps me to stay calm, because one of my weaknesses is that I can live inside my head. I have all these great ideas, so I keep envisioning things and coming up with big picture ideas. But sometimes I fail to realize my current moment. So that book really helped me to calm down for a little bit and really realize what's happening in the exact moment. And with that book, when I first read it, that was about maybe 7-8 years ago, it meant something completely different at the time when I first read it. And then I reread it again a few years later, and then again something new came up for me. And then I recently started rereading it again about a year ago, and it seems like if it was a completely different book, because as your mindset changes and as you are growing as a person and your knowledge deepens, you're going to be maybe noticing different things that you haven't maybe understood before, or you just looked at things from a different perspective because you had a different mood, or you had a bad day, or anything could have happened. So yeah, that's the big advantage to books as well, that each time you reread it, or you can just mark certain pages and then just open up at that page when you feel like, okay, I need this quick boost here, or a quick reminder, let me read this chapter again and see how that stands right now. Probably with my heart more than the videos now, that I have to, if I really have to choose, I'm gonna go with the books then.
Yes, definitely. I would also prefer audience that you should start reading books. If you're not getting time, read at least 15 to 20 minutes in a day. Definitely you can take out 15 to 20 minutes in a day and read a book. And Timmy, the knowledge which you're sharing in this podcast is so much valuable. And I know that you might be having one mentor, or you might be having an inspiration or role model. So you have to reveal today that who is Timmy's role model, or who is a person behind inspiration of, like, who is your inspiration, Timmy? Who is your role model according to you?
Okay, I've got quite a few. So, and even as I said, like as you are changing and growing, and then you think about different things, that reflects in my role models as well. So I really look up to people who are making societal changes. So traditionally, as well as in the sort of modern society. So I mentioned Tony Robbins already. I really love what he built, and I know some people love what he does, some doesn't, but that's absolutely fine. But I think the level of impact he created on millions of people is tremendous by doing what he loves doing. So I think that's a really great example of how you can work your way into something that truly resonates with who you are while making a massive positive impact in the world. And in a similar kind of sort of space would be Jay Shetty. I love as well what he's created, and his wife, I can't remember her name right now, but his wife is amazing. And all these people, they have one thing in common, that they're just being themselves, and they figured out what actually sets them on fire internally, and what's that passion that they have, and they just portray that out into the world in the realest and rawest format, and then you can build a business on that. And all of them actually have done it incredibly well, especially when you look at the Tony Robbins empire that he built. It's a really, really solid business structure, so that's really great. Also, Louise Hay, what she built, her empire, and even after now, it's now her legacy as well. It's a great example of how you can turn your drive, your motivation into a massive, impactful empire. So those, I think, would be great. And then if I go back maybe a little bit in time, I really think that great people who stand out for me and I can really look up to them are Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. So people who are not afraid to speak up and not afraid to go against the current a little bit, just to stand up for what is right, and stand up for specific people maybe, or groups of people, or communities, or just things that are happening in our world right now. There are so many things that if you feel passionate about, that you think something isn't right, or something feels like it's not fair, you can look at ways, what can I do to support that group? What can I do to support a situation? And can I actually build a meaningful business on that? Not just for the profit, let me highlight this, but make it into purposeful profit, if that makes sense. So many things I think right now happening in the world that people could sort of stand up to or against, and actually build a profitable business around the whole subject as well.
Absolutely. And now it's time that wherein you are going to share about you. Like if people wants to connect with you, like how they can connect with you. And please let me know about if people want help from you. Like what are the services you provide to people so that people who are watching this video can reach out to you.
Yeah, so the people that I am, they really click with me, and the people that really resonate with me, I think I mentioned at the beginning already, people who are also driven by making a positive impact in the world. So if someone who's interested in creating or growing their business that has a positive outcome attached to it. So for example, if they're helping societies in various healers, anything along those lines, but they are not clear about how to grow it or how to even start their business. That's the kind of people that I specialize business mentoring with. So they can go onto my website, which is connect1marketing.com. And I named the company Connect One Marketing because I believe that we are all connected and we are all one. So as the sooner we realize that, the better, I think, for all of us, especially in the business world. So collaborations like this can happen more often. So that was the best way to reach out to me. And then they can have a ton of free resources. I have a lot of articles there as well, how to find your niche, how to communicate, how to sell, even on social or offline as well. So a lot of free resources, especially for solo entrepreneurs. So if people maybe not in that stage yet to get started, but they like to get a feel for it or start educating themselves, you can find a lot of resources on my website, and they can just find my mentoring solutions there as well. That's probably the easiest way for them.
That's really great, Timmy. And the audience who are listening to us, the link would be in the description. I would give you the website link, which Timmy mentioned, and also the Instagram handle of Timmy so that you can reach out to her personally as well. Timmy, thank you so much for accepting my invitation and coming here and sharing your journey. I personally got inspired by your journey, and I'm going to implement all of the things which you have told in this podcast. And one last message, if you would like to give to our audiences, what would be that one message?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, first of all, because it was great to be a part of your show. So I appreciate that. The last bit of message, maybe, or a bit of a closing message for people, I would say that whatever you feel that you want to be doing, you're never going to feel 100% ready. So if you feel that you are being drawn or you have some interest towards a specific, I don't service or a product that you want to explore, just get started, because you're never going to feel 100% ready. You're never going to have all of the resources, all of the knowledge, but you need to get things going. And the sooner you get things started, the sooner you will figure out everything that you will need to know. And just keeping a humble approach, I think, goes a really long way. And that was the reason why I really enjoyed connecting with you, Akshay, as well, because of your humble approach. And that really stands out in the business world. So if more people can do that, I think that's definitely key for anyone becoming an entrepreneur, to stay humble and put serving others above everything else. That's one of the key ingredients, I think, for sustainable business growth as well.
Absolutely loved the message, Timmy, because you know what, staying humble and being kind to a person is the most important thing in this world, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing which you told, that getting started is the first most thing. People think that when I will become expert, then I will start. No, it's just that you have to just get started, because every expert you see today was a beginner first. There will be always the first time you are going to start, right? So start
Exactly.
doing it right now, start doing it today. And Timmy, I wish you all the best for all your future projects, and hope
Thank you.
so that we will do more such collaboration in future as well, Timmy.
Absolutely. Let's do a live one as well, maybe in front of a big audience soon when your show
Yes,
picks up.
definitely,
I'm up
Timmy.
for
We
that.
are we are going to do that for Timmy for sure. Thank you so much, Timmy. It was a great
Thank you for having
pleasure
me.
connecting with you. Yeah, thank you so much, Timmy.